Alright, so it's 1 degree out, about 9:30 at night. I'm heading out onto a service call to fix a broken furnace. Take you guys along, let you know what it's like to go out at 9:30 at night when it's 1 degree outside. See you in a bit. So this is how you start a typical call. You get dispatched out, you grab your GPS, put the person's address in there, and hope that it pops up on your GPS. And off the drive goes. When you think you're getting close, you start looking for house addresses, and hopefully you'll arrive. Alright, so I've already watched one of the heating cycles go through, and what I discovered was the blower motor wasn't coming on when it was supposed to. So I wanted to check out, like right now I'm looking at, make sure it has low voltage, and I'm trying to see if it'll come on if I give it a call for fan, and it's not. So then I double check, you see my meter sitting up on top there. I was looking for the high voltage, and it did get high voltage, so now I put my meter all the way to the back, and I was checking the capacitor, make sure the capacitor is okay, and it was good. So at this point I've decided that, well, I've got a bad blower motor. It's really super hot. I'm reaching my hand back there and it feels hot. But before I'm going to make the repair, I'm going to pull out the limit. That's the piece I'm pulling out right now. What I want to do is I want to look at the person's heat exchanger. I don't want to change a blower motor on a furnace that has a bad heat exchanger. So I'm looking around at the heat exchanger from the top, and it looks good that way. So now I'm going to start putting that limit back in. And a couple little screws here and there, and I'll be ready to go on to the next piece. Alright, with the limit fastened back in, now I want to actually get the blower motor out. So to get it out, I actually have to start disconnecting the control board, because that's actually mounted in front of the blower motor on this particular furnace. So I've got the control board out, wires are out of the way. Now I'm taking out a couple of bolts that are on the inside, actually screws, to pull the whole blower motor assembly out. And that's the blower motor assembly right there. Set that off to the side. And what I'm doing right now, for the guys in the trade, this is one of those blower motors that has multiple speed taps, and they have this these little plastic connectors that are stuck in there, so I'm pulling those off. The motor that I'm going to replace it with is going to be a different way of connecting it. Here's the most important part. This is me trying to get into the actual furnace. Now my head's in there. Now I'm looking at the whole heat exchanger from down below. And it's no cracks seen, so we're going to go ahead and change out this blower motor. Alright, for guys in the trade or people who have changed these blower motors themselves, right about now you're thinking, oh, this could go one of two ways. It could be an easy change out, or it could be a little difficult for me. So it's just a few bolts and screws that hold the thing together. I'm taking those out right now. There's actually 3 bolts that hold the mounting bracket for the motor. Now I flip it over and I have to remove a retaining bolt on the shaft of the motor so I can get the blower wheel off. And right about now is the part where you think, man, I hope it comes off here nice and easy, but I can tell already the way the screw is coming out, the bolt is coming out, it's pretty gummed up. So, no, it's not coming off. So out comes the sandpaper. Now I'm sanding the shaft, hoping, well, I get some rust and goo off of there and I can slide this thing out. And now I'm trying to wiggle and jiggle and loosen it up, and it's not happening. So I'm going to have to go to plan B, which is shake it. Nope, didn't budge. Now I gotta get a motor puller. So before I can actually use any kind of a puller on that, I actually need to put some penetrating oil in there. And that's the shaft that's all gummed up and that bolt that's still in there. So I'm gonna pull out my ultimate puller. Here it is, the ultimate puller. And I've used these for several years. I really like them quite a bit. I use hand tools on this. I've used my impact driver, and it's worked pretty good sometimes. But if that shaft is really stuck on there, I've actually stripped the threads on my ultimate puller by using my impact driver. So now I just use wrenches and hand tools. So I'm getting it fastened on there, tightening down the retaining bolts, and a little Allen key to tighten it up. Get it nice and snug. And here come the wrenches. Catch one wrench in the top, one on the bottom. I'm going to move the camera for you once I get this thing started. So what I'm doing is I'm just cranking down, and as I turn this, it's actually pulling the blower wheel up on that shaft. I couldn't do it without this motor puller, and up she comes. Just keep turning. Now we can get all the stuff that's between the blades out of there. It's what wears a motor out a little quicker than normal. So what I did is I used the customer's laundry sink downstairs there to clean all that stuff out between the blades of that blower wheel. And now I'm actually mounting the new motor into the mounting bracket, and I'll put it into the blower housing. I cleaned out that blower wheel and I already put it back in there, and now I'm fastening the motor on there and getting it tightened onto the shaft. Okay, at this point I have the blower wheel tightened onto the shaft of the new motor. Motor's installed. I'm fastening down the wires on the brand new capacitor. I always put a new capacitor on with the new motor. And now I'm going to try to get that blower housing back into the rails that are on each side and get it fastened in place. At the end of the process here, I'm going to try to get the camera in there to show you the screws that I'm putting back in to hold that blower in place. I'll make sure it has the right rotation. Here's my rotation. Those are the screws I had to get back in there. We'll watch on the side here. Make sure it rotates the right way. Here's the hardest part of the day, trying to get this frozen printer to print my ticket. See if she'll work. Come on, say printing. Frozen. Look at that ink. And that's it. That's how we change out a blower motor at 9:30 at night when it's below zero. Catch you later.
Thank you for calling Hyde Heating and Air Conditioning.